The Clark County Coroner's Office right now, where the bodies of two Metro officers were moved there, is our Sandra Gonzalez. She has more information. She is live from that area. Sandra, what can you tell us?
Crystal, I've been able to talk to some of the officers who've been out here, and I went up to them, and all they could say in terms of what they're feeling right now is that their hearts are broken. Another officer from another department talked about how his heart is saddened about the situation. He says it's senseless, an act of cowards. That gives you a feeling of how police officers are feeling right now. Now, so many, just a short while ago, Crystal, formed a procession right down the street, right into the coroner's office behind me. There was a motorcade, and there were many squad cars with their lights blaring, all to show respect to their fellow officers. And they came right up to that area, if you can see it behind me, where the police officers' motorcycles are, and those two garages. And they stood in two lines, saluted the officers' bodies as they went by them, and they were draped in American flags. It was a very, very solemn moment, a moment of respect and sorrow for what has happened today. And there are still some officers inside, and I believe some family members as well. But most of the officers who were there earlier have now left, Crystal, and there's just a feeling of sadness and a feeling of solidarity and mourning right now for their friends. Live outside the coroner's office, Sandra Gonzalez, News 3.
All right, Sandra, thank you so much for that live report. Again, excuse me, as Sandra mentioned, hearts accompany the bodies of both Metro officers from UMC to the coroner's office around 4 this afternoon.
News 3's Sandra Gonzalez has more from the coroner's office now in this live report.
Gerard, I asked the motorcycle officers the sentiments of their heart, and one firmly looked me in the eye and he said, "They're broken." We're also learning more about one of the widows of the officers. She may be a juvenile probation officer, and her colleagues have been showing support to her. Now, a short while ago, a motorcade of motorcycle officers and officers in squad cars with lights flashing drove into the coroner's office parking lot to show respect. They formed two lines and saluted as the bodies of their fellow officers were brought inside the coroner's office. Norm Holliday of the Henderson Police Officers Association was both at UMC and here at the coroner's office to give his support to Metro officers.
It is a very solemn moment when the bodies of fallen officers are brought in, and the respect and the caring about the families and the thoughts of what occurred to the officers.
And immediately he put the symbolic black stripe across his police badge to show respect in this time of mourning. Now, a couple of officers are still here, perhaps more inside. A very sad day for Metro. Live outside the Clark County Coroner's Office, Sandra Gonzalez, News 3.
All right, Sandra, thank you for keeping us up to date out there from the coroner's office. Appreciate the reports.
Well, News 3 live.
Flags expected to be flying at half-staff today as Nevada mourns the death of those two police officers.
It is a very emotional time, especially at Metro. News 3's Sandra Gonzalez joining us live from the Clark County Coroner's Office. Sandra?
Tom, hearts are heavy, especially after officers formed a motorcade to deliver the bodies of Officer Beck and Officer Soldo to the coroner's office. And one motorcycle officer later told me their hearts are broken. Motorcycle officers, followed by officers driving squad cars with lights flashing, came down the road and turned toward the parking lot of the coroner's office. And then they formed two lines. And while the officers' bodies were moved inside the coroner's office, most of the officers stood tall and raised their right hands to their foreheads to salute their fallen colleagues. Norm Halliday, president of the Henderson Police Officers Association, was there to show support and wore a black stripe across his police badge showing respect to Beck and Soldo.
Your heart goes out to the family because we work in the same job and we all have families, wives, children, and it's a tough time for everyone. You don't really know what to say to them other than you're very sorry for the loss.
We hear one of the widows may be a juvenile probation officer, and colleagues have been showing her much support. And now Metro will be preparing to lay their fallen brothers to rest. Live outside the coroner's office, Sandra Gonzalez, News 3.
All right, Sandra, thank you so much for that report. We'll be checking in with Sandra. We also have Venice.
Officers who leave behind families. And
we have News 3's Sandra Gonzalez standing by to get the latest from her perspective. Sandra?
Yes, there is a makeshift memorial here behind me. I wanted to show that is honoring the 2 officers who died here at the CC's Pizza yesterday. And I had a chance this morning to speak to one of their fathers. Pedro Soldo brought his family from Bosnia to the United States in 1995. He wanted religious freedom and he wanted to escape war. Now, Pedro himself was a fire chief in Bosnia, and his brother was a police officer, which was highly influential in how Officer Igor Soldo got involved in law enforcement. Igor Soldo was brought to Lincoln, Nebraska at the age of 11. In high school, he told his father, Pedro, he's going to study criminal justice. Later, he said, the best place to be a cop is Las Vegas.
For every parent, it's hard. It's the worst dream is to think about that, but he always said, I'm gonna be okay, Dad.
But on Sunday, the fear his father carried came true. His son was killed in the line of duty. It happened while Igor was eating lunch with fellow officer Alan Beck.
It's just heartbreaking. Somebody from the street walk in, not to know anyone, and just start killing people. That is something I can't imagine. I was 3-4 years in the war, and I thought that was behind us in Bosnia, so it's hard to imagine. We are lost, we are crushed, because he has 11 months old son, Logan.
Now his father and mother will be arriving in Las Vegas to bury their son Igor with much difficulty, as parents never want to outlive their children. But Pedro says his son died doing what he wanted most, serving others. Igor met his wife in Nebraska. They were working together as correctional officers, and now she works here in Las Vegas as a juvenile probation officer. They have a son who's almost 1 year old. Now, I also want to mention that later on today, here near the intersection of Nellis and Stewart, there will be a community vigil for people to pay their respects and show their honor to the 2 officers who died yesterday. Live at Alice and Stewart, Sandra Gonzalez, News 3.
And Sandra, we had a live report out of there this morning, and not sure if they are still able to get to their cars. As of this morning, during one of our live reports there, people still who had been shopping inside of the Walmart had their cars still in the parking lot. Is it still completely taped off? Is that still a heavy investigation underway at Nellis and Stewart?
Tom, you are absolutely correct. This shopping center is operating as I guess as normal as it could be after what happened yesterday. There is a team of officers behind the camera where you can't see right now, keeping an eye on the situation. We just saw a squad car come in, lights flashing, so there may be some sort of an investigation that may be linked to what happened yesterday, but right now there are people using other shops in this shopping center, and right now, I do not believe the CC's is open, although I have seen employees come in and out. And again, we have been seeing this makeshift memorial to show respect to the officers. And a man just a moment ago came up and added a bouquet to the other flowers and candles and other mementos here, giving honor to those officers.
Okay, and we should point out for people who are not familiar with the area that you really can't see both of them from the same place on the ground, that one is around the corner from the other. The Walmart is facing